Hello and welcome to Remnant Lunar Archon, Karagor Studios. What's up? What'd you do with your hair? Looks nice. We're back with session 6 of Remnant Lunar Archon, our D&D RWBY game. I don't know why I'm telling it all. If you've gotten this far, you probably know what we do here. Cool. Who wants to give the recap? Or shall I?
I might get emotional, so.
That's fair. It was a pretty emotionally and very well-packed session. But I can give it for y'all. So previously on Remnant Lunar Archon, the party arrived into the town of Feldspar, or village really, of Feldspar. Entering in, they found out fairly quickly that somehow, for some reason, a water spirit, as it was described, had been disturbed and made angry in the lake. They met and spoke to the man who runs the effectively herbalist shop, the Desert Bouquet. They met the man there named Apala. After speaking to him and another of the town council that leads the town, they made a deal for, though you didn't specify, either 150 gold pieces or a few items from Apala's shop as payment for dealing with the water spirit, preferably without killing it. And so the group set out on trying to figure out what is going on. In the meantime, Array also met a young archaeologist, a wood elf woman named Sylvia. She's been hanging around with the group, pretty much just enjoying watching y'all for the most part, seeming to like the change of pace from her waiting for her team in town. Waiting for her team to arrive in town. Looking around, you manage to figure out that the couple, the Oxfords, Leah and Maron Oxford, ended up stealing a artifact, a magical object from the lake, and were planning to destroy it in a ritual. After effectively talking them down from the ledge, you managed to remind them who they were and talk them into changing their ways, into realizing that it wasn't what they were doing wasn't really what they wanted or what they needed. And so you effectively managed to talk them into going with you back to the lake, and you're on taking the sphere, this aquamarine gemstone with some sort of water magic imbued in it, stepped into the water, and this water spirit took it away, and in turn gave the two of them, both Garand and Thicket, charms that they have since gotten, and I totally forgot to actually add to your sheets, but they're not going to be too hard to add. They gave them these magical abilities. Then Maron bid them goodbye after giving them a couple of things he said he did not need anymore. The group began to make their way toward the Water's Edge Inn, and that's where we left off.
So are we going back to the tavern now? Or are we back at the tavern?
You are... That's up to y'all. Do y'all want to still be on the way?
I mean, we can go ahead and be at the tavern.
Yeah, the
I
tavern
would like
is.
to buy a book before we leave, just like a journal.
Sure.
Well, isn't I thought the tavern was the like the general store.
It is.
Yeah.
All in one place.
All right, so.
Yeah, that'll be
Garand,
and you can add journal to your inventory.
Cool.
See?
I'm.
Okay, well, Garand, I mean, obviously we're kind of entering in probably somber, maybe a little bit, feeling victorious. We stopped something maybe worse from happening. But he'll go to the, I believe it was a woman at the counter. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we'll explain the situation. Excuse me, ma'am. It seems that we've been able to work this situation out for Feldspar. We will speak with the others presently, but if you could let me know, do you happen to have a larger pearl that might be able to be used for identify spells? Do you know of that?
She looks to you. I'm Belora. Nice to meet you. Yes, I do have. Well, I know of them. I don't actually have any here. I don't keep them on hand. But if you go speak to Apollo over at his little shop he's got back over toward the opposite side of the village, he should have some of those things for you. He deals in more magical type of goods, so getting that stuff like that shipped in. We don't get individual jewels. We'll sometimes order some jewelry on occasion, but for the most part, things for individual stuff, that would be up to him. He's got all the magical things you might need.
I appreciate your thoughtfulness.
Of course. Thanks for dealing with the water spirit. I don't imagine it'll come back, but if it does, I guess we'll call you.
Yeah.
Garan will just nod and start heading back to maybe a table or something.
DM, what is the name of the flowers that I bought last session?
You're telling me you don't remember?
No, I don't.
You didn't write down the flowers I got? Or that you bought from Apollo?
Well, I was going to, but I forgot.
They are... they're called desert roses, even though they're not actual roses. Or they're often referred to as desert roses. But it is a red orchid. That's what you bought.
Thank you.
In exchange for telling him your name. Not in a fey way, just in a, you seem interesting, I want to meet you type of way.
I'm putting the flower inside of the journal and pressing it.
You can do so.
Yes. Okay.
It is about 5 p.m. with clear skies, as the sun is still a bit in the sky, and it will be for another hour or two.
The Battle of Red Orchid, do I remember coming across anything that said the Desert Rose as I read that book?
Which book did you read again?
This was back in the other town, not
over
Mycene.
in...
Was it
Mycene is
Mycene?
correct, it was Mycene.
Okay.
Let me see what I wrote down about that. I forgot you did end up reading one about the Battle of Red Orchid. As far as you could tell, was it? Yeah, it was called the Battle of Red Orchid. As you read this effective mixture of story and history, it's hard to tell exactly what's fully real and what's not. But reading about it, there are mentions of this place that was called Red Orchid. It does not refer to it to any of those things as desert roses, but it is referred to this place as Red Orchid, that apparently had lots of red orchids that grew on and around the walls.
Okay, just seeing if maybe there was any kind of connection that... Alright.
Whether or not there's a connection is up to you to draw, but it doesn't say the word... It did not say the word desert rose anywhere.
That's fine. That's good enough. I think we should eat soon, but we might want to go speak with Apollo. Find out if he's still willing to support us in some manner. The pearl could be quite useful, especially if these items are magical as they seem.
Yeah, that Hashim said he would, what am I doing? This is the wrong voice. Hashim said that, we could get some things from, or that you all could get some things from Papala, right? So he'll probably give that to you. Or at least up to the amount. I don't remember what your exact deal was. I don't know if Hashim spoke to Apollo yet though, so I'd have to connect to him first. But I do like food. And this is Sylvia speaking.
Right, the archaeologist. Should we go and speak with them and then come back to eat after resolving it?
I don't see why not.
I'm good with that.
Sounds good to me.
Alright, you take a quick walk, a quick jaunt over to the other edge of town. Just a couple hundred feet away at most. And you see once again the freshly watered small herbs and various plants that hang on the trellis-like ceiling above this small garden and small, almost shack, middle of this village. You don't immediately see Apollo.
Thicket, weren't you the one that spoke with him and so forth?
Yes. Do I see him around at all?
Make perception check.
Perception is under this tab. There we go.
It is under the tab marked this. I'm kidding, it's not.
Yes.
That's high enough. He's not really hiding. As you glance around, you do see the door to the small shack is slightly ajar, and you do just barely see what appears to be him walking around inside.
Hello.
After a few moments, the door creaks open. Hello there. Welcome back.
Hi.
Hi. Everything go well? Are you all doing well? What can I get for you?
Yes. I take it away, Grand.
Yes, sir. Pleasure to see you. Hashim, spoke with us, concerning the, water spirit, and he let us know that you would prefer if we didn't hurt it, and we were able to successfully calm him.
That's
or her.
wonderful.
I don't know if they have that sort of issue or not. I don't know how spirits actually work all the time. I'm a little confused by them, if I'm honest. But sorry, that's neither here nor there. Now, Hashim said that he would be willing to pay us or reward us in some fashion, to the tune of 150 gold pieces. Now you're welcome to accompany us over there if you'd like, or I can go get him, or whatever you feel more comfortable with. But if possible, would you be willing to part with one of those healing potions I was told that you have? And apparently the nice woman at the tavern and general store said that you might have a large pearl I could use for the identify spell.
Yeah, Hashim already came and talked to me. That'd be perfect right. He said about 150 gold pieces worth of stuff. And that's right at it. It has the value of the pearl you're talking about. I do have one on hand. And he steps back inside and you hear rustling, and he comes back out with this fairly fine but relatively small marble-sized pearl in his hand. It's worth about 100 gold pieces, and the potion itself is worth about 50. That should square us away just right. He walks over and hands this small red bottle and this small pearl to you.
It is greatly appreciated. And
The
I
pearl you
am.
can just write down in your sheet. I'm gonna throw the potion into the inventory for y'all to pick up.
I appreciate you, and I'm glad that we were able to resolve this in a much more peaceful way than might have otherwise happened.
I'm very glad. Most spirits and things like that aren't really. They're not trying to cause a problem.
I think we're friends now.
Really? That's
Yes.
wonderful. I take it you helped it out or something then?
Yes, we had a very nice conversation.
You happen to get its name? I just want to write it down somewhere for the books.
Yes, I did. Let me think back to my memory.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Uh-huh.
Fizadel.
Bassadel.
Yes.
That's a nice name. And no, I also don't know whether or not spirit's a male or female or any of that jazz. I don't understand those things. I know a little bit, but only a little bit. Alright. Well, if that's all for you guys, I'm gonna make some tea and then probably head to bed. So he begins to walk back inside.
If you fancy a song later, you might want to come by. I plan to play.
I might just do that. Or I might be asleep. We'll see how it goes. Thank you, though. Steps inside. The potion of healing, as well as the 2 gemstones and the small pouch of powder, are all in the party inventory for y'all to add to your sheets as you wish.
This evening, as we prepare for bed, I will take the time to identify these items, and hopefully we'll be able to find the best use for them. Now let's go eat, shall we?
I like that
All
idea.
right.
Also, does that mean you're paying for me?
Well, I believe Moretta would take the care of that if I did not, but yes,
I'm just messing
you'll be
with you. I'll
taking.
pay for myself. Don't worry.
It's fine. We're here to
Show
be
up, and I'm not
assistants to
some
one another.
slouch.
So.
I'm not. I've got some money on me.
Very well, Miss Sylvia.
You need to save as much as you got for all those magical things for you. Trust me, I know. Got my own pearl like that a while ago. It was quite the hit in the bank. As you all head back to inn, is there anything you would like to do over the evening? Eat and drink, obviously, which will be a 1 silver piece per person.
I want to perform and see if anybody ends up swinging by, knowing that there's a performer, and they identify. That's it for a grunt.
All right, and anyone else?
Nope.
Nope, I'm just gonna eat and relax.
Nice.
Cedar falls asleep while eating.
No. Can you roll me a performance check, Chris? You were waiting on that one, weren't you? Oh. Unfortunately, as time goes by, it doesn't appear that anyone actually comes by. Seems like the town's pretty sleepy tonight. No one but your group shows up, but Ballora still enjoys your songs and gives you your food for free.
She's more than generous. I think I needed to tune my instrument a bit. I apologize.
You're just fine, darling. This isn't the most active place to come sell your talents, so I wouldn't worry too much. And with that, Are y'all staying inside or are you camping out outside? What are you doing for the night? For sleeping arrangements?
Doug's gonna go by the water and just sleep outside.
What was that?
Doug is gonna go out by the lake and just sleep there.
Just sit there? Sleep there,
I
you said?
will
Sorry, you're
go
still a
with.
little bit quiet.
Yes.
I will go with Doug. I like the water. Sounds
Alright, and
nice.
the others are staying inside?
No, Cedar's staying outside with them and does manage to catch a fish with her hands.
That sounds like a check you gotta make. Let's see. What is the best check for trying to catch a fish barehanded? Seems like an unarmed strike. So strength plus proficiency, so a d20 plus 4.
That's you, Jack.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
trying
Jack,
to
if
get
you
it.
don't mind rolling, you might be able to just roll a regular attack roll because it should be the same numbers. Or with her mace or something.
Would it be animal handling?
No, you're trying to catch a fish. It'd be an attack roll.
Uh,
So you can just do a mace roll to account for the plus 4 in her
here it is.
actions tab. And you need to roll higher than a 12, I'll say.
How do you
Actually,
spell the
it's
name
hard.
of the Firbolg who owns the flower shop? I'm actually
Hmm.
trying to take proper notes now.
I did say 12, even though I was thinking about if it should be higher, but since you rolled above that, and that's what I said, you do manage, after a few minutes, a couple of tries, you do manage to grab a fish out of the water.
Yeah, I do. Not surprised at all about that.
And Apollo is spelled like Apollo, but only A's.
Thank you.
All right, and then Moretta, I think, will take up the room, which she will find has been paid for, oddly enough. All right, so over the night, suppose you should, or we can leave them party sheet in case you want to move them into any other locations, and I'll identify them. The first thing to be identified. Well, I guess I should ask, what do you want to identify first? Green gemstone, the orange gemstone, or the powdered dust?
The dust.
The dust. You find that this fine dust is actually a dust of dryness. Is a wondrous item of uncommon rarity. In the description, this small pack contains 1d6 plus 4 pinches of dust. You can use an action to sprinkle a pinch over water. The dust turns a cube of water 15 feet on a side into one marble-sized pellet, which floats or rests near where the dust was sprinkled. The pellet's weight is negligible. Someone can use an action to smash the pellet against a hard surface, causing the pellet to shatter and release the water the dust absorbed. Doing so ends that pellet's magic. An elemental composed mostly of water that is exposed to a pinch of dust must make a DC 13 Constitution saving throw, taking 10d6 necrotic damage on a failed save or half as much damage on a successful one. And looking in, this packet only contains 1 pinch of dust.
All right. The pale green crystal.
To the pale green gemstone. You find you haven't encountered this before. You've heard of it. You would realize that it is what is referred to as dust. This is, looking into it and understanding what it does, would be called air dust in its raw form. It is a wondrous item that is of common rarity, and this raw pale green gemstone has a relaxing feeling to it. It's fairly lightweight for a gem its size. As an action, you can cause the dust to explode in a burst of air around you, sending back foes. All creatures within a 10-foot radius centered on you must make a DC 13 strength saving throw, taking 4d6 bludgeoning damage and are pushed 10 feet away from you on a failed saving throw. You've heard of dust and material like this odd gemstone that's been showing up relatively recently, but no one knows exactly where it comes from or how it works. But you do know, actually, to see exactly how much you know about its properties, roll an Arcana check. Identify only gives you so much. With a 17, you have heard that dust like this is effectively a non-magic magic. Like, it doesn't interact with spells in the same way that magical effects do. So if you were to use dust to create an ongoing effect, dispel magic would have no effect on it at all. Even though some of its damage and things are considered magic for the purposes of overcoming resistance, they themselves are technically non-magical materials.
All right, is this a one and done type situation?
For the air dust, yes, it is an expendable object. It is consumable, you can use it once. You might be able to refine it, but you'd have to find someone with the skill and tools in order to do so. But for the dust, you can use the gemstone once to create that effect.
Interesting. And dark orange crystal.
You find that this is another kind of dust, this being earth dust, also in its raw form. Similarly, an expendable thing, and this uncut crystal has a dark orange color and is surprisingly heavy. As an action, you can cause this gem to transform into a nondescript stone that you send flying toward an enemy. Make a spell attack roll, +5 to hit, against a creature within 30 feet of you, dealing 4d10 bludgeoning damage on a hit. Basically, you can activate it with your aura and send a rock flying towards an enemy. You can also, in theory, use these pieces of dust to create other effects, but you'd have to basically run those by me and see if you can figure out how to use them. Or even, potentially in crafting. But you find that both of those gems are the relatively rare material of dust that you've heard bits about.
All right, well, I mean, I'll let everyone know, but I think that it should be maybe kept in like the party coffers or pouch or however we're doing that. Just because I don't know of their immediate uses, and it could be that we want to sell them, but it could be that we want to keep them, and I don't know. In my process, I learned I could refine them, and I don't know how that works, so who knows?
The others of you, what do y'all think you should do with the dust? As he is telling all this. In the dust of dryness. I guess they're all dust, just different kinds of dust. One is actual dust, the others are crystals.
Let me read in detail what it does.
Ah, you're reading it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A long rest. As you're looking at what they do and whether or not you want to, and what you think about what you want to do with them. The long rest goes by without issue. It is now 6 a.m. Thursday at the 23rd. The weather you have a similar sensation to a few days, or I guess a week and a half prior, when it was raining outside, as you wake up and hear the crash of thunder in the distance, as it appears to be storming today.
That
Where
seems
is
like a bit of
the-
bad luck.
I'd have to agree. It hasn't stormed. Nah, it hasn't really stormed the whole time I've been here. Just a bit of rain every now and again.
How long have you been here?
She counts on her fingers for a moment and then looks back up. 2 weeks now? I think. I spent the first
Well, then
week or
it's
so.
time for some rain, isn't it?
Yes, I suppose it is. We could go out to the ruins, but don't know how well that will go. But if you think you can take it, I'm willing to.
What do y'all want to do?
Was the ruins on the way to the other city?
No, she had described that they are about 5-6 miles to the south of the
Oh.
village.
From the sound of it, it sounds like it may have been a bit too much for us to handle at this moment in time. We might want to come back for it later.
What do you mean?
I'm not sure if we're all equipped to be able to properly handle ourselves in the ruins. We're only just starting out as adventurers.
Oh. I thought you were all interested in joining me and seeing what you could find, but if you don't have to come. I can wait
Oh,
for my team.
we are interested. It's just, you said that the ruins, would always be there.
True. Quite literally in this case, due to some magic surrounding it. So if you're saying we should wait today, or if y'all should leave and I should just wait for my team, that's fine by me. I know Miss Moretta was interested, but the rest of you are not. I will not stop you from leaving.
Yeah, I think Moretta would speak up and be like, well, if it's raining and it's only a few miles away, that shouldn't be too terrible for us.
Yeah,
Maybe we
wait
can
for
at least
tomorrow.
check
That's what you're
it while we.
concerned about.
Well, I guess at that point, then she would probably wonder if Sylvia thinks that it's too much to try.
No, if you want to go tomorrow, that's fine. I just thought you were hesitant about going at all.
No, she
I'm
really wants to
more
go. So
hesitant about going just right now.
Like today, or
Maybe in a few weeks.
We don't really have a few weeks, do we, Thicket?
Well, the ruins will always be there. So for the ruins, we can take as long as we like.
Well, I guess
Yes.
you're right about that.
I mean, I won't wait for you. The ruins will still be there if you want to come visit, but when my team
Or
gets
my
here, if
team
y'all aren't
decide.
here, I'm going to start working on it.
I missed that. My earbuds died.
She said that while I can repeat it in her voice. While you can of course come back and visit the ruins, if you all leave, when my team gets here, I'm going to start working on them anyway, whether you're here or not. But you're always welcome to come visit.
what if we were to maybe investigate the initial today? While it's raining, because I mean we're not leaving today, right? We don't want to get lost, and only a few miles. That's not terrible.
It's
I
fine by
guess
me.
it can't hurt to look.
So are you making your way through the rain?
Making our way downtown, walking
Through the
fast.
rain, walking.
Fast and
Da-da-da-da-da.
Making my way.
Oh, it's our jam.
So are you bringing the mule with you?
Well, I don't want him to get stolen.
I mean, I think we
What
can
are
trust the
what are
town
we using the mule for, by the way?
to
Pulling
carry our water and
your,
food.
pulling your 140 gallons of water,
Okay.
a whole bunch of rations, a sled.
Our mule is our party sheet.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
You've just been sticking all your stuff that isn't going to anyone in particular onto this poor mule who's just been happily eating whatever good berries you've been feeding him.
Does the mule have a name? I forget.
Buria. Borea. Buria. What y'all named it? I don't remember if y'all decided if it was a girl or a boy or not. I don't know.
I mean, we should probably leave things here, and if it turns out that we want to investigate further tomorrow, then we can always take the cart and the donkey then.
Works for me. As you all begin to make your way into the desert during the rain. Who is going to help Sylvia navigate to the ruins?
I will.
She will give you advantage with her compass and knowing where the ruins are.
Cool. What kind of check am I making?
Survival. Same as usual for navigation.
Advantage. Survival. I'm a beast.
You are crazy, it's true. With the 24, it doesn't even take you terribly long as you all pretty quickly over the course of, let's see, 5 miles. Oh, well. We'll say 2 hours after eating your breakfast, which also seemed to have been paid for. At about 8 a.m., you finally arrive toward where these ruins are. As you approach the ruins, the first thing you notice is the dome. Encasing these ruins is a large magical dome that you can see as the magic reacts to the water hitting it, sending out these small ripples of energy, and the wind brushing against it. And you see at the south, northeast, and northwest points of the dome are these stone pillars that sit partially inside of the dome, kind of pointing up and toward the dome itself. You see this in the distance. I assume, do you get closer?
I mean, effectively, Thicket is guiding us, and Sylvia is kind of like telling us about it. So, I mean,
Mhm.
I think
She
at this
would-
point,
She would keep walking toward it if you all follow her.
Does
yeah,
it look like there's anything that is booby trapped that we're about to step on or
Roll perception.
anything? I'm great at that. Oh wait, I am.
You are. I don't know why you're being
I
sarcastic.
keep forgetting that it's perception
you're a
that I'm good
wisdom?
at and not investigation. I always think that perception is investigation.
That you are certain there are no traps in this desert sand. Despite the wet sloshing against your feet. And I have to roll something. Cool. None of you get struck by lightning. There is a chance of that. Approaching, pushing some of the water out of the way as it somewhat beautifully cascades over this magical dome, and placing your hand on the dome, it feels solid as the magic slightly glimmers around your hand. And looking into the dome, you see broken pillars and walls, and the remains of what once may have been a shrine or even a once elegant garden. The center of the ruins has a fountain that doesn't appear to have touched water in a very, very long time. Scattered across these ruins, seemingly haphazardly, almost at random, are various weapons, usually spears, stuck into the ground, with a helmet or hood atop them and an armor set around the base. Not all the memorials are the same, and while many have a sun-dried red dye to them, others have the remains of a black dye. These are the ruins. This is where the supposedly. Oh, what is Moretta asking? What means?
What the various, I guess, effectively tombstones or whatever memorials are. What all that means.
Well, according to the stories, according to the history, part of the reason why I was sent to go find this place. But this is supposedly where the Battle of Red Orchid took place. Which you immediately remember, Garand, to the book you just read. And you would remember, before she explains, that, or I guess I'll just explain it to you because you would remember parts of this, but then I kind of get across to everyone else unless you want to explain it to them. Which would you prefer?
Oh yeah, just go ahead. Like, I mean, as it comes to him, he would say it. So just go ahead, yeah.
Well, these ruins, supposedly, the Battle of Red Orchid, was something that happened before the schism. So we don't actually have that much information about it, due to everything that happened afterward. In fact, the entire reason it's as well preserved as it is after almost 500 years is because of this magic. And she taps on the magical dome that emanates with this weird energy as she does, this arcane energy. Before the schism, supposedly, there were these two groups, these factions. These monks that protected the Red Orchid Sanctuary. And this other... It's not exactly clear. Some call them law enforcement, some call them raiders, some call them heroes. We're searching for this criminal, maybe? And through something, different stories tell different ideas of whether or not it was the monks or the seafarers who started it. But they ended up fighting. And unfortunately, almost no one survived on either side. It was destructive, messy, and supposedly the spiritual warriors set up some kind of shrine to protect it. Most stories end with the monks winning, though some don't. And we believe that this is where it took place. We want to get more information. We want to learn more about it. In fact, I'd prefer not to take out the dome just yet, in case the water messes with anything inside. But if there's a way we can at least figure out how it works, that might be helpful. We don't know how to take the dome down. Or rather, I don't know how to take the dome down.
Do we know what they were fighting about?
Well, and Garand, you would remember that at least the story you read said that the seafarers that ended up coming up and fighting were searching for a criminal, and they found that the monks were intentionally and knowingly hiding the criminal, and that's why they attacked. That's what the book you said, at least.
Yeah, that would just tell them what I read, and that also the fact that some of it seemed like it might be more fantasy than reality, but that there's likely some truth mixed in there.
Yes, that's the most common story. That the law enforcement that came were searching for a criminal. The monks were hiding them. But none of the stories ever end with someone finding the criminal. They may not have even been here.
What did the criminal do?
It's not exactly clear. Some stories say, some don't at all. The most common stories say that the criminal was actually a slaver that was running a slave ring out in the south of Vacuo, but it was broken up and destroyed. Thankfully, that we haven't had to deal with any kind of slavery since before the schism. And that's just a story. Possible he did something else.
I want to assist Moretta on Arcana and Investigation. If we can make both of those to try to determine what might be done to lower or weaken the barrier without completely destroying it. So if it is dangerous, it could be maybe stopped or something in some way.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm assisting her for advantage, and then she has way too many inspirations, so I'm going to use them, and she can be mad at me.
Well, they gotta go at some point, and if you literally don't use them, that means she will not get one at the start of next session. Okay, so that Arcana is a 19. Drop to 3. Nice. And a 27 on investigation. Okay. So, with those rolls, first we'll go with the Arcana one. She would know, looking at this, as both of you talk for a moment and pay attention to what sort of shield this is. It acts almost like a very large version of Liamon's tiny hut. Like you've heard of before that some wizards will cast as a form of protection for campsites and things, but that typically only lasts 8 hours. It appears that this is some kind of... It's based on the same principles, but is on a much larger and much longer scale, especially if it hasn't failed over 400 years. It's actually kind of impressive that it's still up and hasn't faded. But it's hard to tell what might be the limits of magic before the schism, as apparently things back then were even stronger than they are now. But she would know that if there's not a person that this is based on, like that it is not built around, such as with Tiny Hut, then it has to be built around some kind of other focal point, some other things holding its effective shape, which would most likely be built toward the outside. And with the investigation, she would quickly be able to notice the 3 pillars on the northwest and east, and then on the south side of the dome. These 4 pillars that, taking a closer look at, you see they're fairly simple granite pillars that stand about 5 feet tall and have this vertical oval indent that sits about halfway up the pillar. She also notices, because of that high investigation roll, glancing inside for a moment, looking around for what might be useful, she does spot a fairly, in a glint of lightning, passing from behind. This weapon that is shinier than the others seems to have been avoiding the grasps of time. It's hard to tell exactly from here, but it appears to be some kind of large sword near the center of this dome. Doesn't look like it's connected to the dome, but it is definitely a noteworthy thing she sees.
All right, and her and I both will understand that to get towards that shinier sword would mean disrupting the magic, correct?
Yes, you'd have to do that as looking at it. She can also tell from that pretty high Arcana check the way it's set up, she doubts, and she could be wrong, but she highly doubts that you'd be able to teleport in or out of this place. It seems to have some kind of barrier against that as well. But yes, opening it up would be an effective way to get to this sword.
All right. Just in case, I don't want to play her character wrong.
That's okay. I can correct you, but so far you're doing a good job. Plus, everyone else is here and they can correct you too. So we were all here playing with her.
I feel like she would get excited about that and attempt to say something maybe, and I think Iran would try to like catch her and be like, well, hold on. So I don't know if you want to. I mean, it's weird to roll myself, but I can like do like opposed checks of some kind, or I don't know.
Sure. Would this be like a grapple check? You trying to like put a hand over her mouth, or more
Maybe
of a
more
persuasion check to get her to calm down from the
Yeah,
excitement?
maybe like persuasion, maybe. Yeah, maybe persuasion to insight.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's like he would be like, kind of like doing like the quiet motions, like hold on, shush, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay, so effectively both of you are trying to roll high because you're trying to be very persuasive while being subtle. She is trying to be able to see it without completely distracting yourself. So she needs to roll above, because you rolled so high, above like a 12 maybe. She does not. She is excited. I don't know what you were saying she might say, but she is excited.
Yeah, so my thought process is that she would be like, "Oh, look at that! That's I think that may have made it through some magic."
Oh, look, there's some kind of magical sword in there.
Yeah, something like just like a blurt.
Well, that's interesting. I'm surprised anything, even magical, survived that long. As Sylvia also looks in and notices. I see. Oh, now I really want to see what's going on inside of this place. Anything that can give me more information on before the schism is very helpful, as that's my personal area of expertise.
She's like, "I can't wait to come back when that comes. When does your team arrive?"
The team is expected to arrive. He looks down at a non-existent watch, despite the fact that watches weren't properly invented yet, at least not non-magical versions. Probably, based on my messages, probably a week from now. I sent them a message last week, but they are coming from Vacuo. So it might be a little bit.
Oh, that's long. I think we have a deadline.
I mean, I'm happy
It's
to start work
about a
tomorrow if
month
y'all can.
until we have to get there.
I also don't have to wait for them to arrive. We can start work tomorrow. I didn't know y'all were coming. I didn't know if you would help me. That's why I messaged them a week ago. I'll be helpful. I'd be happy for the help when they get here, but I don't necessarily need them to start. So if you'll want to help me find a way to get in, you can.
Oh, well, we already found a way, and that says, you know, Garon's still trying to like quiet her down.
Oh, really? How might
Oh
that
yeah,
be?
see the pillars? She's gonna just like nerd out for a second and just like do like the whole geek thing of explaining all of this stuff and like, oh, the pillars and this and that. And yeah.
Interesting. But how do we get the pillars to turn off? And Moretta stops as she realizes she doesn't know how to get them to turn off. She knows that they're there, doesn't know how to turn them off.
I guess I haven't figured that part out yet. Some more time maybe?
Time? It's had 400 years. Almost 500, probably.
Oh, I mean time for us to figure it out.
Oh. Yes. And what was
Surely
that?
you have some sort of spell or some kind of magic you can do.
Turn off a magical dome from before the schism. I am honored that you think I am that powerful.
I'm so sorry. I'm not meaning to insult you, but I
No,
meant
you're fine.
Beretta.
Oh, well, now I feel really bad.
I'm sorry.
Garan will kind of like he's like rubbing his temples. He says, "I don't know that it will work, but I could cast a thunder wave and maybe move the pillars apart."
I'd prefer not to destroy the pillars, but if that is what must happen, then it is what must happen. But if that's the case, I'd rather we go and come back tomorrow. I don't want to get anything too wet at first. Once we get things cataloged, that's when I'm okay with things getting a little bit more damage, but I'd prefer to avoid that if I can.
Well, then let's see if we can think this out a little bit more. See if we can figure it out better.
Alright?
Are the pillars in the red and the black like colors?
The pillars have no color scheme on them. They are solid granite. Appear to be a somewhat pale orangish color.
So what had the red and black?
So, inside of the dome, there were these haphazardly weapons that were stabbed into the ground with whatever hoods or helmets that the person might have worn set atop it, with various marbles around the base. But some of those, like armors and stuff, had red dye, and then some of them had black dye.
And we can't get to that.
Nope,
Correct.
those are inside of the dome.
Is there anything that we think can work to try to think this out? She does have history proficiency, if that may or may not be useful. I don't know.
That's kind of a question for y'all, is what do you want to do? What do y'all think might help you solve this problem, this puzzle, you could say?
I feel like that was a nudge.
Do we have like an overview view of the pillars?
What do you mean? A map?
Like-
I don't have a map of the whole thing, no.
Like, I guess my question would be is like, does it seem like they would move a certain way? Like you have to line them up?
So the pillars are all in the ground. You'd have to dig and maybe try and figure out how deep they are if you wanted to try and move them, but they are solidly in the ground. And they are at 3 different portions, effectively making a triangle through the dome. There's one at the south end, and then one at the northeast and northwest ends.
And they can't be turned a certain way?
Make a strength check as you try to.
Oops, that is not a strength check.
Despite putting athletics works too. It's good. It's honestly probably what I should have asked for. Taking a minute and trying to turn the different pillars, you find, despite your best efforts, they are not moving.
Well, that
They
didn't
do
work.
not nudge in the slightest.
I mean, I guess,
You
yeah,
said
she would at
there
least
were-
try history.
You said there were like indents on the pillars, right?
There are.
I would like to take a closer look at those. See if I can
Taking a
notice
closer look.
anything.
There are indents that go roughly a full inch into it that have surprisingly maintained their shape quite well. And these are on the exterior of the dome pillars, toward y'all, away from the dome itself. They're oval spaces about 5 inches tall and about 3 inches wide, and go in about 1 inch.
Sorry, could you say that again? My
That's okay.
notes
They're
app
oval.
was being weird.
That's okay. There are oval spaces on these domes, or on these pillars, these indents, facing outward, facing toward y'all, They are about 5 inches tall and about 3 inches wide, and about 1 inch deep.
Does it look like there's anything around that matches the indents?
Make an investigation. Like what kind of around are you looking? Are you looking like on the ground, in the distance? What are you trying to look for?
In the general near vicinity.
Probably investigation then.
Okay. I'm gonna use a hero point.
I think as Moretta's watching this, she might try history, see if it sounds like anything she might know.
Go for it. Roll history. So investigation, you don't see anything. There are a couple of rocks, but they're not quite oval shaped, or that same size. Moretta, thinking through it, there's not exactly any history behind that. I mean, the history of different magical locks might apply. You know that sometimes mages will have certain objects that have to be combined or placed into certain areas, and then doing so will open things or cause a magical effect to take place. There might be a word to it, but given that there are these indents, you think maybe there might be some kind of object or material that's supposed to be put into it. It might be elsewhere, it might be here, you're not exactly sure. But, I mean, the history of things used to keep something in effect is a fairly large one, but among mages, they tend to like to just kind of lock stuff with magical objects or a triggering effect. So,
all right. Well, she was with me when I was doing the identification of the crystals. Are the crystals the same size as the holes?
let me double check what the crystal sizes are. Where did I put it? There they are. Both of them are about 7 inches tall, or 7 inches long and 3 inches wide. So they're a bit too long to fit in. And they're also not perfectly oval shaped. They're uncut gemstone. They're jagged in places.
Okay. All right. I mean, I guess she would ask Sylvia if any of this makes sense to her, and she would point out the things.
Well, on the schism, before the schism, magic was abundant. So if they wanted to make a key, it would have been quite easy for them to do. Even the non-magical people back then had capabilities that are would be surprising to us today. But if they wanted it to be opened, if they didn't want it to be opened at all, they wouldn't have left the key. If they want to be open, though, they probably would have left something nearby. So there might be something nearby. I haven't spent as much time around the ruins themselves. There might be some kind of box. There might be a treasure chest hidden in a cave or something nearby that we could find, and maybe that would work. I don't know why I'm slowly mixing a minorly Latin American accent with Scottish for some reason.
Well, I mean, you've traveled so far, you've done so much, you've
know.
been so many places. So
Keeping my own
sometimes
voice is so difficult.
It flows together, you
never really get used to it, do you?
All right, well, I guess we'd start. Let's look around. Let's see if there's a cave or if there's some kind of lump or a rock or something nearby.
Okay, where are you going to start looking? Which direction?
How about we circle out like a spiral and try to?
Okay, where are you starting? Where's the spiral beginning?
Well, we'll start with the northeast, right? Or no, I guess the south, and we'll go out because if it was already south in the first place, then we want to go a little bit more south.
Okay, so you'd go out 100 or so feet from the south and then start going in a circle, slowly getting further and further out.
Yeah, keeping the ruins as the center point.
Okay.
Like a spirograph.
I do like spirographs. Let's see, so. Fix them
And
real
then
quick.
I guess before we start walking out, Doug's gonna look at Thicket and ask for the map.
I have a map.
We all should.
Yes. You have a map of Vacuo. You had the map because you were the one leading everyone around.
Oh, okay. Yes. I give him the map.
Okay. And does Doug see any like sign of a cave or something nearby?
Checking the map, you don't even have to make a check. There is no indication of any kind of cave or anything like that to the south of Feldspar. In fact, it's relatively open. The ruins are not even on the map. You don't know if it's just too small to be on the map of Vacuo, or if it wasn't ever on there in the first place. You're not sure, but it's definitely not on your map.
Oh, is this the original map?
The map I've shared with y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the map you have. It's effectively that. It's a map of major locations in Vacuo. It's not a perfect thing of everywhere and everything in Vacuo, but it's a, you're travelers, this should get you where you need to go type of deal.
I see.
The kind of map you would mass produce instead of have for fine details to be on like a warpath or something. But as you begin to move around, encircling this, after a few minutes of you walking, you would notice, and I would say Thicket would notice first, roughly 100 feet away from you where you are now, as the rain is still getting a bit in the way, and I'm going to go ahead and accelerate us to 11 o'clock. You would see two, and keeping an eye on where the dome should be, the northeast. The northeast of the dome is a stone obelisk standing alone in the desert.
Does it look like it'll try and like hit us with something if we get too close?
Insight on the stone. All right. So knowing what you do about magic and traps, it's stone. Looking at it for a few moments, it doesn't look like it's going to move or anything. Your best guess is that it's probably not going to try to attack you.
Cool.
You don't get any kind of trap feeling from it.
No bad vibes.
Yeah. Approaching, you see there is, at this point, kind of muddy sand covering what appears to be some kind of flooring underneath, but you can't particularly tell with all the water and sand around. It is a 5 feet tall and 1 foot high and 1 foot wide, fairly square, or rather rectangular stone obelisk with a tapering end onto the top. Well, with a small triangular top.
I poke it.
You just poke it.
Yeah.
You poke it and you step back and nothing happens.
Thicket, you want me to give you a boost and you climb up with your little cat-like reflexes?
Sure.
So I'm gonna do like a.
I wait.
There would not even be a
I have a
check
climbing
involved.
speed of 30 feet.
Oh, okay, there we go then.
I mean, if you want, you can still let him.
Yeah.
Fairly easy given Thicket's size. You don't even have to make a check as you lift him up. It's not even particularly far. I'm pretty sure you can look onto the top, Garond. I don't remember exactly how tall you are, but this thing is only 5 feet tall.
Oh yeah, I'm taller than it.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you basically pick up and place Thicket at face height for you.
I'm still not taller than Garon.
That's a good question. Garon, how tall are you? And Thicket, how tall are you?
I am. Where's my notes?
I have
2 foot 4 inches.
I have myself at 6'1", so that means that I'm holding it like I'm holding Thicket around, like maybe the top of Thicket's head might be about where my mouth is. So no, Thicket's not actually taller than me yet.
Well, here's the thing though. If you picked up Thicket and you put him on the thing and he stood up his full height, he would actually be about a foot taller than you.
Yes.
Oh yeah, if I put him on it, okay. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
if
fine.
you
I'll
put
put
him
him on it. Yeah, it'll be great for the little guy.
You stand in the night, and I'm just gonna roll a d20, and if it rolls a 1, you're getting struck by lightning.
Oh no.
You're safe.
And the fact that I
for
was gonna
now.
I was gonna lift my staff up and like pose.
As
But
Thicket
got
lifts his
struck
staff
by
up and
lightning
points
with
into
that.
the sky, there is a crack of thunder as lightning shreds open the night behind him, but not actually hitting him, fortunately. There was a chance, though. There was a chance.
Alright, are there any like inscriptions or anything on the obelisk?
On the obelisk, looking at it, you do not immediately see any inscriptions.
Okay.
But looking down at it from your vantage point, you do see there are some finer details on the floor beneath it.
I climb back down and look closer.
It's hard to tell with the sand there. You'd have to move or somehow clean off the stone to get a proper look at the design.
I'm like swiping it away as if I'm like in a litter box.
As Thicket begins to swipe away the sand, is anyone going to help him? Because this will take a minute, or at least a couple, probably a couple minutes.
Yeah, I can't imagine that Moretta and Garon wouldn't help him.
Yeah,
all right.
Cedar pitches in too.
Everyone joining together, except for maybe Doug. I don't know, that's up to Doug. But Sylvia will definitely help out. She's an archaeologist. She gets dirt all day. Everyone working fairly quickly. Oh, Doug too? Cool. Everyone very quickly works together and moves away some of the sand. And looking at the design, looking at the stones beneath, they have a very slight familiarity with Moretta. And I suppose a little bit with Garon, given his... do you have proficiency in Arcana?
Yeah, Arcana, just not the history. It just didn't seem
Yeah.
to make...
You would notice that these do appear to be some kind of arcane markings. They are magical, but they're older, and you don't immediately recognize exactly what they are or what they do. But they are magical markings around this floor, around the flooring around this obelisk. The flooring directly in front of the obelisk, specifically, toward the direction of the dome, is a... Despite the other more arcane-looking markings, there is an arcane circle designed with 3 primary symbols sitting at, 3 separate directions, one toward the bottom and then the 2 top right. How many of you can read Draconic? I know there's at least, 2 of you.
Doug can.
Oh, nope.
Cedar can too. I think. Can you double check for me, Doug?
Yeah, let's see.
Moretta can.
Can Garand.
No, he can read Common, Elvish, Giant, Sylvan.
Nice.
Yeah,
Right.
Tater can.
Cedar, Doug, Moretta. And did you say Thicket could or no?
No. I got
So the 3 of
Celestial,
them.
Primordial, and Sylvan. And Druid.
Druidic is a fun one. And Sylvia cannot read Draconic. Noticing these symbols around it are Draconic. You can read the 3 symbols placed equidistant from the arcane from the center of the arcane circle to be the words flame, storm, and frost. But it's almost like reading it, like reading old King James Bible. Like it's written in a very fancy way.
Flamieth, ye stormeth.
I mean, it would translate to flame, storm, and frost, but yes, it's written in a very fancy way.
Can Moretta make a Arcana?
Sure. It's with a 14. It's hard to figure out exact details, because it is an older style of arcane magic and arcane markings. It's hard to tell exactly what they're for. But you know it has something to do with those three elements, but you wouldn't really glean much more than you've already figured out from reading it.
And did we recognize these symbols on the pillars?
On the obelisks themselves, there are no markings.
No, on the pillars at the dome.
The pillars of the dome were also fairly nondescript.
Moretta will probably get all excited. She's like, I can do all of those. And she probably will start trying to say, like, either running back or saying, let's go, I've got an idea.
What?
I can cast Firebolt. I can cast Ray of Frost. I can cast Shock and Grasp.
Okay.
Let's try it.
On the things back at the dome? Okay. And they will begin, at least she will begin to follow after Moretta if Moretta's running off.
It's just my vision of how she would handle that. I don't know.
Fair.
But
Are the rest of you following her?
I am gonna take just a sec and like splash a little bit of water on the storm word
Water
and see if
strikes
it does anything.
and nothing happens.
Okay, then I'll follow.
You pour the water on it, and the last little bits of sand that were on it are washed away. Granted, the rain's doing that itself. All right, you get back to the dome at the northeast pillar.
all right, so she's looking to see if there's anything on the pillar that would match the draconic that she saw at the obelisk to see if it might indicate whether it's flame, frost, or storm.
Make an investigation check. That's really good. So you know for sure none of those three symbols are on this pillar. In fact, looking closely with that high, this pillar is fairly nondescript entirely. There's a small arcane, like, almost like a belt of arcane symbols drawn near the bottom that circle around it. But those symbols are all more about protection than anything elemental.
What was the orientation of the words on the obelisk? Like what sides were each word on?
The top left was flame, the top right was storm, and the bottom was frost.
Top left and top right was storm.
Yep.
And top. Oh wait, and then what was the other one?
The bottom was frost.
They were all like on one side.
Nope, they were all equidistant from the center. Like, if you were to like cut a pizza into thirds, it would be at the ends of the lines of the thirds, where the pieces meet.
So like the pizza box tent, the little thing that holds it up.
Yeah, like that.
All right. Well, is there any chance that also Moretta picked that up, or?
I don't see why not, especially if Thicket's talking about it.
Okay. All right. Cool. I just didn't want to meta. All right. So then, yeah, she'll be like, Darn it! All right, fine. And she's just gonna go ahead and shocking grasp and touch that little indention.
Okay. There's no need to roll the attack. I suppose you can roll damage. Because it's a rock that's not moving, so she could definitely hit it. Placing her hand against it as her hand pulses with lightning, and you hear a crack of thunder and lightning above, as her magic seems to be slightly empowered by the storm itself. As she places her hand against it, she would actually deal slightly more damage because of the storm. For anyone wondering, it's 2, I believe. I'll double check, but I think just 2 more damage, but it might be 4.
Which pillar are we at right now?
You are at the northeast pillar.
Northeast.
Yep.
I think this one might be flame.
It would do 2 more, so it deals a total of 7 damage. As she places her hand against it, and y'all see these shock of energy pulse out and actually skipping from droplets of water around her for a moment. The arcane energy fades. Pulling your hand away, there is no reaction on the pillar. Does not even appear to be singed or anything in any way.
All right. Well, if it says flame, then she'll be like, "All right, my bad," and then she'll zap it with flame.
Firebolt, roll damage, which will have a -2 to the damage because it's raining. Those weather effects. I love weather effects. With the 5 damage, she pulls her hand back. The purple flame leaps out of her ring, strikes into the rock. Nothing happens. There's no ash, nothing. The rock seems to be completely unaffected by it.
All right. Well, there's only one more choice.
Roll Ray of Frost damage.
Worth a shot.
She sends out the bolt of frost that strikes into it, creating a film of ice across it for a moment, which then seems to crack and fall away. No effect on the stone.
That obelisk is a liar.
Maybe we didn't take a close enough look at it. Should we go
Or-
back?
Well, everything I thought didn't work, so yeah, I guess so.
Maybe we missed something.
Maybe it has to be in a particular order.
You head back.
Maybe it has to
Do-
be at the same time.
Do all of the indents on the pillars look the same?
On the pillars around the dome, yes.
Yeah.
They all look the exact same.
Does it look like it's shaped like anything in particular? Like
It's
a
an
sword
oval.
or something? Okay, oval.
Just a oval.
I can cast those spells on the obelisk itself and see if like a compartment opens up and gives us the thing.
It's worth a shot.
All right, to the obelisk.
No one says anything. But it's worth a shot.
I
All right.
think it was lost in thought trying to figure
Oh.
this out and didn't hear it.
Fair. You head back to the obelisk. And what would you like to do?
I mean, she's gonna try the same thing. She'll do like whichever symbol is on the side. She'll try that again.
On the obelisk?
Yeah.
Okay, so which is she trying first? Which damage?
I guess it was how was it read? It was read flame, storm, frost.
Flame, storm, frost. Flame top left, storm top right, frost bottom middle.
All right. Well, we'll try to go in order just in case, because someone said something about it. Maybe it has to be in order, so we'll try that. So we'll go flame first on the flame section.
So you're trying to cast it like on the flame word, or are you casting it on the obelisk? Excuse me.
I don't know. Any suggestions? Should I cast it at the word, or should I just cast it at the obelisk?
Both?
You could try and hit both in one shot if possible.
I mean,
You'd
I
have
can
to do
cast
one
Burning
and then the
Hands.
other.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I would
mean-
I would try the words first.
All right, sounds good. She'll go for the words. She's just having fun. I would imagine that at this point she's just like, woohoo!
Okay, as Meretta creates the purple flame and shoots it toward the word flame, it splashes against it, the flame dissipating to the air as the strike hits, and you see the word glows an orange color.
Oh, that did something. That did something. She immediately will run to the storm and shock and grasp that word.
She ignites her hand with electricity and places it down on it. It crackles a few moments. When she pulls her hand back, it is now glowing a light blue. And
Oh yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
would
She's
notice she would notice to the left that as she does that, as she's doing it, the flame fades. The color from it fades. The word is still there, but the color fades.
Uh oh.
glow.
We'll see. All right. Well, she'll go to Frost and see what happens. Do the same at Frost.
She creates the bolts of energy of the frost energy, splashes into it, and as the particles break off to the side, you see it is glowing a light white color. And as she's doing this, the storm symbol glow fades.
So, has to be at
Maybe
the
it
same
needs to
time?
all be done simultaneously.
All right.
Don't really have
we-
anything that could help with that, though.
Well, I can cast lightning, so I can do one. So
I've got
does
Ray of
anyone have any?
Frost.
Should we wait until the storm's over, though? I mean, we don't want to. We were trying to wait and see if the dome was like keeping water damage out. If this opens the dome, we might damage
That would be bad.
some stuff.
Good wait. We could come back tomorrow, especially now that we think we've kind of got it. I doubt it would take too long.
Well, what about if we see if we can solve this part of it? Because maybe this will give us the keys, and then we can come back tomorrow with the keys.
Or it might open it while there's a storm going on.
Oh yeah. Well, Garon's just gonna kind of wait and let everyone else decide. I think Murata would be excited, but she would probably let her decision kind of go to Sylvia.
I'd prefer
What
to
do you
stand.
think, Sylvia?
I'd prefer to stay on the side of caution. I think I'd prefer if we came back tomorrow. I don't want to risk damaging anything on the inside of there. Yes, we know how, so we can come back and start here tomorrow.
Sounds good.
If there are keys, then, well, hopefully it's not raining and we can start it then.
Yes, tomorrow would be best.
Alright, you will head back to town. I'm gonna roll a d20 to see if anyone gets struck by lightning. Almost. It rolled a 2. It had to roll a 1, so no one gets struck by lightning. Good for y'all. Y'all definitely don't want to take 4d10 lightning damage.
I kind of do because it'd be funny.
It would be funny. Is there anything y'all want to try and do over the evening? Back at town.
We could probably get supplies if we're gonna head out after the ruins.
Okay, so what kind of supplies do y'all want to get?
We only have
You have 6 days of feed for the mule, but y'all did start feeding him good berries. Or her good berries, I don't know anymore. It's a mule. You have 20 rations that you stopped eating because you realized you could eat good berries. You have a sled, and you have 140 gallons of water.
because the closest city is more than 6 days, right?
We can see if they will help us with that as we
Looks
help
like
them.
depends on which way you go. If y'all go towards Schist, it'll be about a 6-7 day travel. If you go toward Kenite, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 10 or 11 days travel.
Oof. I mean, I really want like a direct path to Kenite, but at the same time, 11 days without stopping to like have a
Refresh.
safe place to rest. Yeah.
Let me double check just how much water a barrel can hold.
How far would it be from uh, that other place to Kenite?
I
From
do
Schist to
have.
Kenite is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 or 9 days.
Oh, so there's not much of a difference.
I do have this spell create or destroy water.
Sure, you can create more
So
water as you go.
and also I have shape water, so whenever it's raining, we could just refill the barrels. But that would be using spells to create and destroy water. The rain one would be just a cantrip.
Do we want to just go straight to Kenite then?
I think
On it,
so.
honestly, I think from Schist it's still like 9 days, so we're only helping ourselves out by 2 days, and that's after we take basically a week out of our time. So I think it may be better to just try to press our way there.
I agree.
Let us see what comes of this ruins situation, and then maybe we'll know for certain whether or not which path to take.
Works for me.
All right. Anything else I'd like to do, or should I go ahead and move us up to 6 a.m.?
I mean, Iran will perform again, and if there's time, I think he would go to Hashim and see if Hashim is willing to work out a deal to help their travel. That Apollo did help them out as agreed, but if there might be a little bit of extra that they might be able to spare.
Okay, there were a few more people, but still not a lot of people in the town. You end up getting you get 9 silver pieces and 10 copper pieces from your performance, and she also makes all of your meals free. As for talking for Hashim, what exactly are you looking for?
Just to make sure that we'll have enough for 2 weeks worth of food and water. So that we can, if something comes up and we have to make camp, we'll be safe and we can make it there effectively. And if they don't have it to spare, then maybe they can offer it at a discounted rate or something.
Yeah, he said he'd be happy to look at your stuff and see if he can figure out what you might need.
It is greatly appreciated. Thank you, Hashim. I am very glad
Okay.
Like,
Given the time you would have been getting back and it is raining, he will do it the next day. But yeah, he'll take a look at your stuff. He says, "You might be welcome." All right. Over the night, another 5 silver pieces for anyone staying inside. Does anyone not want to stay inside because it is raining into the early evening?
Yeah, I'll stay inside.
Yeah, I'll stay inside.
Yeah, it would be 5
I'm
silver
inside
pieces
too.
per room. Do. And your rooms get paid for. The
Oh, wait,
Belora
so
will not say by
not
who.
5 silver.
Not 5 silver. You can take it back.
Okay.
Belora refuses to say who paid for your rooms, but someone pays for your rooms. And for breakfast.
Free food.
I don't know who's
Alright.
paying for all
Does
this
it look
though.
poisoned?
The food does not look poisoned.
Okay. Does it taste poisoned?
No, it tastes pretty good.
Okay.
Despite the previous day being easier, it is very hot out today. But it is like it's not going to kill you, but it is much hotter today. Possibly due to the additional, you know the word, Micah, the amount
Humidity?
of liquid. Humidity, that's it, the liquid in the air.
Are you even from Alabama?
Yes. Lord, yes.
Ooh, you
That
just
was
got so.
embarrassing.
All right. You arrive. Let me see. Well, let me see if you encounter any troubles on the road. I doubt you will, but you could.
Yeah. Can we take a break?
We can take a break. Now'd be a good time to take a break as you approach and arrive back at the dome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Granted, we've only got like 30 more minutes, but we can take a 5-minute break if anyone needs to grab water or anything. I will get that math up for that person who is paying for stuff because they do have to pay for all the things that they're paying for. Okay. Well, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying y'all enjoying the puzzle. Am I alone? Did everyone die? Oh, okay.
I'm here, Bob.
I'm just gonna take a long drink of water though. Hello, chat. How are you today? Do something new with your hair? I know it's the second time I'm making the joke today, but still, I like that joke. Courtesy of having learned it from Aaron Robert Parnell over at Nat 19. He's a cool kid. They're cool players. You should go watch them. I like their stuff. Speaking of which, Jack. Jack is not here right now. Oh, and for the record of anyone out there keeping a mat or keeping a calendar, it is now 6 a.m., Friday, the 24th of February, year 417. The moon is in a morning crescent.
I had soup for dinner.
I love soup.
I know. It's so good with the weather right now, too.
It's perfect. My problem is we've got the heat on just a little bit too high in the house to the point where I've started like closing the vents in my room because it gets too hot if I leave them open.
Wow.
I'm cold natured. Family's not though.
You're cold natured, but you think it's too hot.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm accustomed to the cold, and I like the cold. Cold is where I live.
Wait, I thought you meant by cold natured you
I get
are
cold
cold.
easily, but I also like
Yeah.
the cold.
Ah, okay, I see.
It's a very convenient thing for me. I know a lot of people who aren't cold natured and they really hate it. I'm like, no, this is perfect. This is literally what I want. I want to
And
feel cold instantly.
I like to like bundle up. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You get to be cold enough to where you can still feel cool while you're wearing a puffy jacket. Perfection. In a bottle. Wait, no, that's gin.
I'm like a bird.
How much faith do you have in the human race? I look both ways at a roundabout.
Oh. Wait a second.
Nobody to mark off one of Sylvia's spell slots. Or just assume that she used it. Because she's a spellcaster.
From one direction, and I'm going in the other direction. So like, I
And
look
since
this
it's
way.
and since it's not raining, she will have Bernardo out with her.
Who's Fernando?
It's her barn owl. It's this
Oh,
brown feathered barn owl that Sylvia has.
I remember him.
Yeah.
I don't remember why we're messing with these ruins though.
Because she asked you to, and Moretta was excited about ruins.
That's it?
That's literally it. She said she would pay y'all, but y'all never actually specified how much.
Well, okay.
I guess we'll see how big the task is.
Yeah, I think that could be like a running like tab. It can be.
Yeah.
And Moretta, I'm sure, would start talking to her about like okay, obviously you're going to want to have your own artifacts, but like we found that shiny sword, so.
I mean, who knows? You'll have to actually talk to her about it when y'all get there. She knows it's there. You'll have to ask her about it, though.
I mean, if another Ethan dies, the cost is going to be really high.
True. I hope Ethan gets to play soon. I want y'all to meet his new character. I like him. New character will show up at some point.
I see the shadowed image, and all I can think about is that that villain from I can't think of the show anymore, but it just reminds me of something from way back when.
I don't know either. Jack, the other day you asked for recommendations for your drive. Did you ever actually listen? Like, what did you listen to on the drive? How'd that go?
So, funny story. I basically had sleep hypnosis for the majority of it. So I honestly don't remember.
Sleep hypnosis?
Yeah. So it's like you kind of zone out, but like you're conscious enough to drive.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm glad
I
you're
mean,
safe now, though.
I know what you're talking about, though. I've done it before, but it still sounds not.
I mean, I think So I know I had like Spotify going for the most part. I think I switched up genres from Japanese music to like Spanish rock to a few TV shows, like Criminal Minds. I think played a few episodes.
I am back. I have returned.
That's most of what I remembered. I think I did try to start a podcast that you suggested, but I don't know.
Didn't get into it.
I think just because like it was just people talking the entire time and it just wasn't.
It wasn't what you
guess.
needed.
Yeah, so I think I just switched it back to Spanish rock, I think.
That's fair.
But yeah, for most of it, I don't remember just kind of zoning out and knowing that I have 12 hours to drive.
Yeah. All right. Well, if everyone's back, is anyone not here? Say aye. Okay, who is here? Because normally I say that and then I expect people to say I when they're here, so I actually know who is here.
Thicket is here.
Abby's here. Chris is here. Jack is here, right?
Yep.
Huzzah.
Yeet. Okay, cool. Let's go for another 20 minutes, and that should be our normal stop time, and we will head out there. And just let this be a shorter session today. All right, the next day in
Sounds
the...
good.
Hmm?
I said sounds good.
Heat. Next day in the pretty scorching heat. You all, thankfully, you're not traveling for too long. As you go out the other 2 hours as you approach the dome once again.
All right, well, let's stand in position, and then we'll all get it at the same time.
You head out to the obelisk. Who is standing where to do what?
Well, Sylvia said she had Ray of Frost, so she should be at the Frost one. And then that would make me, Garand, at the Storm one, and then Moretta at the Flame one.
All right.
I was going to change my spells to help out, but I literally don't have any that can help.
Yeah, oddly enough, druids don't get a ton of elemental spells. They get a couple of them at higher levels, but not many.
That's so odd.
Yeah,
I
I
find-
think they get more.
It like the arcane seems to get like elemental damage spells, whereas like the druids get like the elemental control spells, like they like weather and stuff.
Yeah. Lots of plant stuff. Lots and lots of plant stuff for those druids.
Plants and aminals.
Lamps and aminals. Yep. Alright. You all count to 3 and all cast your spells as Sylvia reaches down and the bracelet on her hand glows as a bolt of frost flies from her hand. What spell are you casting for the storm one?
Lightning lure.
As this strand of lightning comes out as he pulls out this bottle of this almost liquid looking lightning that y'all see him normally use, as this bolt of it whips out toward it, and Moretta releases the bolt of flame. They all strike into the stones. They pull back, the glow lightens up, and then continues to grow for a moment, getting brighter. And then you hear a shift of some kind of mechanism as you see a nigh imperceptible line cutting through the center of this arcane circle becomes apparent as it begins to pull to the side, revealing beneath a small compartment that has gently set on a few small metal, effectively a metal holder. Is this, let me double check, I'm making sure, yeah, this 5 foot tall, 3-inch wide marble oval. This ovaloid shaped piece of marble.
That
Wait,
looks like the
5 foot
indents
tall?
on the pillar. Wait,
Hmm?
5 foot or 5 inches?
5 inches.
Okay.
You
All right.
said 5 foot.
Did I say 5
Yeah.
foot? Definitely
Yeah.
not 5 feet.
You said
It is
Okay.
5 inches.
It's happy size.
That looks like the indent on the pillars.
Sylvia will lean down and pick it up, and then glance back toward the dome, which y'all see is still standing.
Nice.
Okay.
So, my assumption then would be that there are 2 other such obelisks with 2 more keys. I think it might be appropriate to go and find those other 2 obelisks.
Perfect. Well, she looks back. It looks like this one is in line with the pillar, so maybe the other 2 are in line too.
Sounds as good as any reason. Let's press on to the other ones.
All right, which one are you going to?
I mean, if they're equidistant, then they're equidistant. It doesn't really matter. I guess.
Which one are you going
Well,
to?
Uh,
The
south?
southern
I don't know.
or the northwest?
South.
South. All right, you head down to the south, passing by the edge of the dome, and then, similar to the other one, 1,000 feet. As you pay attention this time, and with the rain, you can tell it's about 1,000 feet away from the dome.
Is it still raining?
No, it is scorching hot today.
Oh.
You see something that takes you a moment to properly comprehend. You see before you the short obelisk that you expected. Similar in size to the pillars, just like the other one was. But it's something that's on the obelisk is different and weird. Covering the
Does it look-
obelisk almost entirely is dozens, maybe hundreds of these small insect-like creatures covered in bone-like plates that have red markings on them, which you would all recognize pretty immediately, marking them as grim. As well as peeking out from each of these creatures are these 3 tails of seemingly liquid flame that stretch out behind them. And there are dozens, if not hundreds, of these things swarming over this pillar.
I think Moretta would just immediately burning hands them.
Okay. So here's the question: is whether or not we should go ahead and stop there, because that would be the start of initiative.
Well,
It is 10:45. Do we want to start or stop there and come back next time?
the question is, and I'm not sure if you would even answer, is whether or not they look easy to kill.
They're grim.
They're also
If you want,
bugs.
you can roll a nature check to see if you can figure out what kind of grim these are. You know, I will mark Sylvia.
Can
as
I do
full.
animal handling?
They are not animals. They are explicitly not animals.
Can I do perception?
You can do religion.
Uh,
Someone else can do religion as well if they'd like, but these would be a religion check. Just try and figure out anything about these grim.
can I help Cedar do religion?
Yeah,
Are you proficient in religion?
do a religion check.
Are you proficient in religion?
I mean,
No, not you.
Oh,
Thicket
me?
is thicket.
No.
Then you cannot help her. You would not be any help because you don't know what you'd even be trying to do to help.
Plus
I-
1.
I'm doing my best.
I know, but your best isn't good enough to consider help. Sorry.
let me do a religion check though.
Could I
Okay,
do
go ahead and make a
survival?
religion check.
Hey.
What is it?
It's a 20.
It was a nat
Oh wow,
20,
a
but
total of 20, a nat 20 minus 1. 19 is
How
still
do-
really good.
how do we both have -1 in religion?
You're both wisdom characters.
'Cause
So you would actually know.
She's a cleric.
She is. So some clerics don't know anything about what their religion is. they can be proficient, that means they're better than they would have been. But she wasn't, because I don't remember what her backstory reason was, but she's not. All right. So I will probably share with you an image because you would know enough to actually get a pretty solid amount of information. So you haven't dealt with these much. They're more in the desert, but occasionally they do show up around the volcano. That is over in... What is the name of that location?
Assault.
Is it Basalt that's next to the tower? Or next to the volcano? Or is
Yes,
it the other?
because that's how my family died.
Fair point. All right. You would know that some do live in and around Basalt and the volcano behind it. They are fairly small Grimm that occasionally will go off on their own, but most of the time they tend to swarm together to attack prey. The flaming tails they have are actual flame that they tend to attack with primarily, rather than their claws, because their claws aren't nearly as effective. But you know, these Grimm are... Intelligent isn't the right word. These Grimm are aware and smart enough to actually work together, which is why they typically go into a swarm. But you know, they also, because you rolled so high, they have two different kind of forms they will take as they kind of bind together. One is a more serpent-like form that moves faster and tends to be a bit harder to take down. The other one is this almost golem-like form, this bipedal form, as they all bind together to deal much stronger attacks. I am going to go ahead and share art with you. As you see, these little guys. Oh, and yeah, their name, they are called sulfurfish.
Silverfish?
Sulfurfish.
Oh.
Like silverfish, but sulfur.
But sulfur.
Like fire. Like their flaming tails.
Are they fish?
They are not fish.
Well, that's a stupid name then.
Then why are silverfish called silverfish?
They also
They're not
have
fish.
stupid names.
I agree, but I didn't name them or this, so don't blame me. And unless y'all want to keep going, and we can, I think that's where we'll stop.
It's definitely...
Yeah, that's a problem for next week.
Yep, this is a problem for next week to deal with this swarm of sulfurfish crowding around this thing.
And Moretta can be mad at me for immediately casting Burning Hands if I was wrong to do so.
I'll give her the option of changing that, because I stopped you right at that, so I'll give her the option. If she doesn't want to cast the fire spell against the things known as sulfur fish, she doesn't have to.
I suppose that's fair.
If she wants to, she can. I'm not going to stop you. But you might logically get the inkling that that might not be the clearest and best course of action. I do like these little guys. They showed up in a relatively recent season of RWBY, and they're pretty neat. I'm pretty sure the two forms they can take is actually entirely fan-based.
Okay, I gotta go to
Yeah,
sleep.
thanks for playing. That was fun. I'm excited for next week and more Dome stuff.
Yeah.
I'm also excited to figure out whether or not y'all are going directly to Key Night, or if you're going to go to Schist first, because that changes how I prep for things.
I'll give the day of.
Yeah, I'm sure. There is a non-zero chance you'll arrive at the location and I'll be like, and we're stopping there even though we're halfway through the session, because I need to figure out what's in this place. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll just prep for both. And be
There'll
crazy.
be many, many roadblocks to keep us getting there.
Maybe. Good night, Abby. Thanks for coming and playing. And
Of course.
good night, YouTube.
Good night.
So long.